Hello and welcome to my YouTube. This YouTube is remembering the year 1978. Jimmy Carter was president in 1978. I was 34 years old, working in Washington, D.C. for Control Data Corporation, which was the second largest computer company in America. On January 13th, former American Vice President Hubert Humphrey dies of cancer at the age of 66. A Soviet satellite, the Cosmos 954, burns up in the Earth's atmosphere, scattering radioactive debris over Canada's Northwest Territories. On January 25th through the 27th, the great blizzard of 1978 strikes the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, killing 70 people. On February 1st, film director Roman Polanski skips bail in the United States and flees to France after pleading guilty to charges of engaging in sex with a 13-year-old girl. This is 1978. There is still an outstanding warrant for his arrest in California, so he can't come back. On February 5th to the 7th, the northeastern United States blizzard hits New England region and the New York metropolitan area, killing 100 and causing over $520 million in damages. $520 million in today's dollars, that's $2.5 billion in damage from a snowstorm. On March 1st, Charlie Chaplin's body is stolen from his grave in Switzerland. Charlie Chaplin, one of probably the most famous of the silent movie stars. His body was recovered 3 months later in June. On April 2nd, the TV show Dallas debuts on CBS and gives birth to the modern-day primetime soap operas. This was the first one. Huge hit. On April 7th, U.S. President Jimmy Carter postpones production of the neutron bomb. This was a weapon that kills people with radiation but leaves the buildings intact. So it's not the blast, it's the lethal radiation that comes out of this bomb. On April 18th, the U.S. Senate voted 68 to 32 to turn the Panama Canal over to Panamanian control on December 31st, 1999. And that happened. On May 20th, Mavis Hutchinson, age 53, becomes the first woman to run across the entire United States. Her trek took 69 days. And she didn't stop running. Here she is as an old woman, still running. On May 25th, the very first of the Unabomber attacks, a bomb explodes at Northwestern University, wounding a security guard. And they called him the Unabomber because he sent bombs to universities and airline executives. He sent 16 bombs over an 18-year period before he was finally caught. And he killed a lot of people. On June 19th, Garfield's first comic strip goes into nationwide syndication. Hi there, I'm John Arbuckle. I'm a cartoonist, and this is my cat Garfield. Hi there, I'm Garfield. I'm a cat. And this is my cartoonist, John. Our only thought is to entertain you. Feed me. On July 25th, Lois Brown, the world's first test tube baby, is born in England. On August 6th, Pope Paul VI dies. August the 6th. On August 17th, the Double Eagle II becomes the first balloon to successfully cross the Atlantic Ocean, flying from Maine to France. On August 26th, Pope John Paul I succeeds Pope Paul VI as the 263rd Pope. So look at this. This is August 26th. We have a new Pope, John Paul I. On September 16th, the Tabas earthquake kills at least 15,000 people in the city of Tabas in Iran. On September 28th, Pope John Paul I dies after only 33 days as the Roman Catholic pontiff. And he was just 65 years old. A lot of men don't even become pope until they're in their 70s. So the world was shocked that here we have a relatively young pope, and he dies a little over a month after he's coronated. On October 14th, President Jimmy Carter signs a bill into law which allows home brewing of beer in the United States. And thanks to this, we now have thousands of microbreweries all over America. On October 16th, Pope John Paul II succeeds John Paul I, resulting in the first year of 3 popes since 1605. He is the first Polish pope in history, and he's the first non-Italian pope since 1522. And he was only 58 years old. This is very young for a pope. Typically, popes, as I say, were in their 70s. The cardinals that voted for the popes, they wanted someone with experience and knowledge, and that just takes a while. And so typically, you're an elderly man by the time you make it to be pope. Also, quite candidly, they didn't want some young radical to become pope who would change things and be there for years and years and years. They figured, well, if he's an old man, he'll only be there, 5, 10 years at the most. So this was very unusual. Non-Italian, and he's pretty young. On October 27th, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Premier Menachem Begin win the Nobel Peace Prize for their progress towards achieving a Middle East accord. And President Jimmy Carter is the one who facilitated that. I think he should have won the Peace Prize as well. On November 18th in Guyana, which is South America, Reverend Jim Jones leads his People's Temple cult in a mass murder-suicide in his commune, Jonestown. It claims 918 lives in all, including over 270 children. Representative Leo Ryan is assassinated by members of the People's Temple shortly beforehand. So he has this People's Temple down in South America. And there were all kinds of stories about how bad things were. And this congressman went down there to investigate, and they murdered him. Shortly after that, this Jones convinced everybody to kill themselves. And what they did is they made this lemonade or this Kool-Aid, and they put poison in it. And some of the people drank the Kool-Aid, and those that couldn't or wouldn't were injected with the Kool-Aid by these syringes. Have you ever heard the phrase, the boy, they're really drinking the Kool-Aid? And what that means is that's a derogatory term that means you believe the lies and the fabrications of some leader or some politician. That phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid, is because of the Jonestown massacre. 970 people. And here's an aerial shot, and you see the hundreds and hundreds of bodies lying around. They drank poison Kool-Aid. This really affected me. I literally broke down in tears when I heard this story. Very, very. And the fact that they murdered over 280 children. On November 27th, San Francisco Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harry Milk are assassinated by disgruntled former Supervisor Dan White. Big story nationwide. On December 11th, the Lufthansa heist. 6 men rob a Lufthansa cargo facility in New York City's John F. Kennedy International Airport. And they got away with $5 million in cash. And only one person was ever prosecuted for this, and he was an employee of the airlines, and he was the inside man. But the other mafia guys that conducted the robbery, they got away with it. On December 22nd, Chicago serial killer John Wayne Gacy, who subsequently was convicted of the murder of 33 young men and boys committed between 1972 and 1978, he was arrested on this date. This story horrified America. 33 young men killed by this monster. On a lighter note, who was born in 1978? The actor James Franco. The comedian on Saturday Night Live, Kenan Thompson. In fact, I think he's the oldest member of that show right now. Very funny man. Love him. The fabulous, great Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players. The fine singer Usher was born in 1978. And the singer John Legend was also born that year. So what was introduced back in 1978? Cabbage Patch Kids. Oh, this was a huge phenomenon. Everybody knew about the Cabbage Patch Kids. Even if you didn't have kids, you knew about these. Coors Light was introduced that year. The Space Invaders, which was an arcade game, usually in restaurants and pool halls and taverns and places like that. It eventually made it into the home computers. But initially, you could only play this in restaurants and bars. Huggies, the diapers for newborns. Laserdisc, these had movies on them. Huge, big players. Nike Air Tailwind, the very first of the Nike Air shoes. Reese's Pieces, very similar to M&M's. And the Speak and Spell game. As the child touched the keys, they were spoken out loud. And if you spelled a word, it would pronounce the word. And there were games where you tried to guess what the word was, sort of like Hangman. In January of 1978, NASA selected its first group of female astronaut candidates. So, what were the top TV shows of 1978? Number 1, Laverne and Shirley. Number 2, Three's Company. John Ritter, Joyce DeWitt, and the cute little blonde Suzanne Summers. Number 3, Mork and Mindy. Mork, by the way, was an alien. Number 4, Happy Days with the Fonz. And number 5, Angie, a waitress who falls in love with a doctor, and neither family is happy about it. What were the top grossing movies of 1978? And by that, which ones made the most money? Number 1, Grease, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Huge hit. Number 2 moneymaker, National Lampoon's Animal House, starring John Belushi, and also starring Donald Sutherland. And there was another actor in here. It was his first movie. He wasn't even officially an actor. He didn't have an agent, and he was a student in acting school. And his name, Kevin Bacon, his very first movie. And Kevin says because he was a nobody, he wasn't allowed to associate with Donald Sutherland and John Belushi. They kept the big stars separate from the little nobody actors, which is what Kevin Bacon was in this movie. Jaws 2. Heaven Can Wait, starring Warren Beatty, Julie Christie, James Mason. A guardian angel accidentally sends someone to heaven. And Every Which Way But Loose. What were the top songs of 1978 based upon radio play, record and CD sales, and jukebox plays? And the answer is number 1, Andy Gibbs, Shadow Dancing. Number 2, the Bee Gees, Night Fever. Number 3, Debbie Boone, You Light Up My Life. Pretty song. Number 4, the Bee Gees, Staying Alive. There was a song that people loved to dance to. Staying alive, ooh, 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 staying alive. You get the idea. And number 5, Exile, Kiss You All Over. How much did things cost back in 1978? Well, the average salary for a man was $16,628. In today's dollars, that's $82,134. What is it really in the United States right now? And I looked this up today. The average salary in America is $63,795. So things were pretty good, relatively speaking, back in 1978. Gasoline was 63 cents a gallon. In today's dollars, That's $3.11. That's a little high. I gassed up yesterday at Costco. I paid $2.78 a gallon. A movie ticket was $2.34. In our dollars today, that is an $11.56 movie ticket. A new car, on average, costs $6,120. In our dollars today, that is a $30,230 car. A new home back then cost $62,700. Converting that to our dollars, that is a $309,000 home. The actual average home today, and I looked this up, is $518,000. So home prices were pretty good. The Oscar for Best Actor went to Richard Dreyfuss in the movie The Goodbye Girl. The Oscar for the Best Actress went to Diane Keaton for Annie Hall, co-starring Woody Allen. And the Best Picture, Annie Hall. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something you didn't know about the year 1978. Be well.